I had mentioned earlier this morning, am I overdoing this or as far as the critical nature? But we see stories every single day in some of the papers across the state, certainly in even some of the smaller communities. People are pleading for workers to come back.
They are. Just like you've heard, and we hear from employers every day, legislators saying, what can we do? Companies need workers. When do these benefits run out? Why aren't people working? Those kind of things. So we have turned the tide a little bit with unemployment and started back several months on getting people back to work.
Jackie, is it? I know we kind of spotlight because you can see this on a more visceral basis when you go to a restaurant. But is it across all different industries here and products and services?
It is. I had listed a few from the catfish growers to advanced manufacturers to, of course, Ingalls is always looking for workers. And they had contacted me this week from Cooper Tire, Yokohama Tire, the furniture manufacturers. It's food and beverage industry is everywhere.
I'm looking at the dashboard. Yes. How many? 50,599 jobs are available.
Yes.
And a lot of these jobs are good-paying jobs, and a lot of them are probably platforms for a whole career.
They are. So, 50,599 jobs there. Our Win Job Centers are now open. So that's something to know that workers looking for work, or if you are receiving unemployment, there is a work search requirement there. It was waived for a period of time during the height of the pandemic. It is back on since last August.
When's the next check come in as far as unemployment's concerned?
Well,
I mean, we don't have another federal check coming in.
Well, now
stimulus.
Stimulus it would be the IRS, but we do the unemployment and the benefits related to unemployment run through September 6th.
But the last one they got, which everybody got, was what, $1,400 a piece?
Yes.
So I guess people are still living on that for a while.
Living on that or living on the unemployment programs.
Because they get unemployment with that.
They can if they qualify.
How much was unemployment here? I know it's
max of $235 in Mississippi, but it's an additional $300 if you qualify for any of the programs, extended unemployment, pandemic unemployment, the regular unemployment, and all of those programs are set to expire for the week ending September 4th.
Wait a minute. In that 1 month, you could have gotten $2,935.
Exactly.
For not working.
Exactly.
And if you went back to work, though, you would lose some of that, but not all of it. The $1,400 is still yours.
That's right.
It is amazing. I don't know how we got here. I mean, you can be too good as a mother, a father, or a government, and it's counterproductive. And I think that's what's happened.
I think you're right. I mean, people have been afraid, and hopefully, with the vaccinations and people in the COVID numbers coming down. I heard you say 0 deaths this morning.
0 deaths, only 37.
So with all of that, in Mississippi opening back up, work search requirements, where we're hoping, all of us, that the people will get back out and feel safe enough to work again, if that's one of their barriers.
We haven't talked to some of the people at the hospital in a while, but I would think that the Easter effect and the spring break effect would have been visible now. You would see an increase. As far as that had some bearings on this one. But again, the last numbers were 37 new cases statewide of positive COVID cases and 0 deaths. So that is good news. We had a couple of days it would bumped up, but it's been trending down.
Yeah. For unemployment, there was a tick up the freeze week of companies shutting down.
Yes.
I'm sorry. There was a big uptick.
Perez and I both shut down. We couldn't go anywhere. So,
but Paul, I want to share that we have paid out with all the federal the programs since last March. We have paid out right at $3.9 billion in Mississippi. So Mississippians are drawing unemployment if they qualify. And also that much money went into the economy, which is great. But they're right at 75,000 people still on unemployment.
We have 75,000 people in Mississippi still on unemployment. But we paid out since last March $3.9 billion. This was a combination of federal funds and state funds?
Yes. Most of it was federal funds. About $600 million came out of the Mississippi Trust Fund that employers pay into. We were lucky enough at MD to get an infusion of trust fund dollars from the legislature, and so that helped out with some of the balance. Our trust fund would have been bankrupt had they not helped us out. So we're very appreciative.
I remember the governor talking about that. By the way, the governor is going to be on with me tomorrow at 8:00. Jackie Turner, executive director at Department of Employment Security. The legislative session, we got much to talk about, but on the session, nothing happened as far as affecting your office, your agency?
Very little. There was a bill that passed to have the option to take out state income tax on your unemployment. You do have to pay taxes on your unemployment.
Yeah.
And we already had the federal option, and now they added the state, so we'll be programming that.
So you got to take income tax out of your...
You have a choice. You can either pay it at the end when you file your taxes, or you can take it out during the
Another reason to do away with personal income tax, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's a shame that you've got to pay tax on unemployment, though. Come on.
I know.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The amount of money, $3.9 billion, went into our economy. Probably some of the reasons why our economy was the third strongest in the nation during this whole pandemic. What do we do now as far as, and I want to talk about this when we come back too after the break, but how much longer will these last as far as, you said the requirement to work is back on. If you're one of those 75,000, you've got to prove that you're at least looking for a job with the requirement to seek a job.
Yeah.
So that's back on.
Back on. The federal programs are set to expire September 4th. And we are doing several things at Employment Security and working with our partners.
Wait a minute. You mean all the way through September 4th that additional money's coming in? How much?
There's different programs, and then if you earn at least $1 of those programs, you get an additional $300. So if someone qualifies for the maximum of the state unemployment of $235 a week, then they would get $535 a week. There's other programs as well, extended unemployment that's federally funded, pandemic unemployment assistance, and that's for the gig workers and that kind of thing. Yeah. So there's
so
three.
If you max out all of those, which in most cases you can't max out all of them, but if you did max out all of them, you're okay.
You are okay.
There's no reason to go to work.
Well, except it will end, and you would think reasonable people would be worried about that, but I don't know.
Well, the new generation is probably all like the old generation, and sometimes there were some of us just says, let's wait for it to happen, and then we'll deal with it. We'll cross that bridge when it happens. September the 4th, though, as you say, when some of these will end.
Yes.
75,000. Are they coming to the Employment Security Commission, or are they doing what they're supposed to be doing?
They have to come through us to file for unemployment, and they have to do their weekly certifications. Some weeks, if their earnings are excessive, they may not draw, and then they may draw the next week. What they might find themselves in a situation that if they have been less than honest about their work history or whether they do meet the criteria for one of the pandemic programs, then they may find themselves in a situation where they owe that money back. And
does that happen regularly? Or
it happens often.
Really?
Not, the basic person that has lost their job through no fault of their own, that's the basis of the unemployment program.
But if you fudged a little bit, you may have to pay